In the world of sports, there's a fine line between trash talking and outright unsportsmanlike behavior.
I am going to shove my foot so far up your butts that you are going to be pooping toes for a week.
A little taunting here and there won't hurt, but some athletes and sports personalities have definitely crossed the line. Here are the 13 most disrespectful moments in sports history. What's up, Fanatics? This is Discovery Amuse, serving up your daily dose of the most outrageous, outlandish, and out-of-this-world fun facts. Our number one pick is just something totally unforgivable in the sports world, so make sure to stay tuned for that.
Underarm. Get set.
Number 13. Shaq Posterizes Dudley. Shaquille O'Neal posted monstrous numbers and some worthy game highlights in his illustrious NBA career, but that brutal dunk on New York Knicks Chris Dudley in 1999 will always be one of his best or worst plays, depending on which team you are rooting for. Not only did O'Neal dunk on the 6'11 Knicks center, but he also shoved Dudley after posterizing him as if the dunk alone was not enough. Of course, Dudley didn't like it. He stood up in a rage and threw the ball at O'Neal's back, which honestly looked so desperate it was too painful to watch.
Dudley does not even foul him. He just got overpowered by Shaquille O'Neal. But Dudley...
The play earned both players a technical, and that incident remains to be one of the most talked about moments in NBA history to this day.
This is, you got to see the low angle on this because it was a low angle. The push. I forgot the push. I do remember the ball toss, though. Look at Dennis.
Keep watching because our top pick made NBA history for all the wrong reasons. Number 12. Roberto Alomar spits on an umpire. The Baltimore Orioles second baseman Roberto Alomar and home plate umpire John Hirschbeck figured in one of the ugliest incidents in Major League history on September 27, 1996. During an intense game between the Orioles and the Blue Jays, Hirschbeck called a third strike against Alomar, which did not sit well with the player. Things escalated quickly, with the umpire ultimately ejecting Alomar, but not before the controversial second baseman spat in the umpire's face.
Watch Robbie. He looks like he spits in Hirschbeck's face.
Alomar received a 5-game suspension for that, but the two eventually forgave each other and ultimately became friends later in their careers. Aw.
Oh, that's nice.
Number 11. King Eric snaps. When you're too good of a player, opponents and even fans of your rival team will try all tactics to get on your nerves and ruin your focus.
You smell like baby barf. Your hair looks like a Brillo pad that I want to scrub my sack with.
Touted as one of the greatest Frenchmen to ever set foot on the Premier League field, Eric Cantona is used to all the taunting. He has been a target of such nasty heckles in almost every game he was in, and that 1995 game against the Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park was no different. But maybe King Eric had just had enough that time. After hearing some hateful comments from Crystal Palace fan Matthew Simmons, the Manchester United striker launched into an outrageous kung fu kick, followed by a series of jabs in retaliation.
Oh, what's going on here? Cantona's getting involved with some supporters. Oh, this is outrageous.
The flying kick he hurled towards the hooligan earned Cantona an 8-month ban, but his legacy remained intact. For his part, Cantona fully owns up to that momentary lapse in judgment.
I think maybe it's like a dream for some people, you know, sometimes to kick these kind of people. So I did it for them. So they are happy.
Number 10. Trevor Chappell's Underarm Bowl. Former Australian cricketer Trevor Chappell's career will forever have one distinct highlight: the underarm bowling incident at the 1981 World Series Cup. Born to the legendary Australian Chappell family, who have cemented their names in the cricket world, Trevor went on to write his piece in sports history when he heeded his brother Greg's call to deliver the last ball underarm.
I walked over to Don Weezer, I think was the umpire at the bowler's end, and I said, Don, You better instruct the batsman that Trevor's going to bowl the last ball underarm. His eyes did roll back in his head.
This was to ensure that the next batsman, New Zealand's Brian McKechnie, wouldn't hit a six in one of the most contentious cricket matches in history.
And that's a disappointing finish. Disappointed Brian McKechnie, the crowd boo. And it's all over. After 50 overs, New Zealand 8 for 229.
Though considered legal since no rule bars cricketers from bowling underarm, this was never done in the spirit of competition. So just imagine the outrage.
It wasn't the right thing to do. Trevor was the innocent bystander, as were the umpires and the other players in our team and the New Zealanders. I mean, it was my decision and my mistake.
Number 9. Zidane headbutts Materazzi. At the World Cup Finals of 2006, legendary attacking midfielder and now football manager Zinedine Zidane was well on his way to bag another World Cup as team captain for France. His stunning performance in the lead-up to the final even earned him the coveted Adidas Golden Ball. But what should have been an outstanding swan song to his storied career ended in controversy. 5 minutes after the Italian team scored a goal which tied them up with France 1-1, Zidane did this to Materazzi.
He's just headed Materazzi in the middle of the chest. What was Zidane thinking of?
It is still unclear what happened or what was said between Zidane and Materazzi during the extra time. The French captain got a red card, but the Italians remained calm and focused despite the drama, which led to them taking home the trophy. Months later, Zidane came clean about what he actually said to Materazzi on the pitch prior to the headbutt.
Là, il vous accroche?
Oui, il m'accroche le maillot en fait. Et je lui dis de s'arrêter, de me tirer le maillot, et je lui dis s'il le veut, je le change à la fin du match. Voilà.
Number 8. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s cheap shot. Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s success in the boxing ring sure comes with loads of controversy and countless cheap shots. In 2011, for the first time, the pretty boy of the boxing ring was on the verge of losing a match versus Victor Ortiz, and the whole world was on its feet. But the bout ended with a knockout in favor of the money due to a cheap shot hurled towards a defenseless Ortiz. That's dirty money, too dirty.
Turn the music on for the stripper. Tell shawty calm milk, she got plenty ass. Yeah, I love the stripper.
Number 7. Boston Marathon cheater. After clocking in 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds, Cuban-American runner Rosie Ruiz won first place in the female category of the 1980 Boston Marathon.
We're here with the women's winner. She's getting a case of the sneezes. Rosie Ruiz? Okay. I'm sorry.
But her victory lap didn't last long when she was stripped of the title after event officials uncovered her dirty little trick. Ruiz tried to deceive authorities from the very beginning of the application. She qualified to join the tournament despite her late application by saying that she had had a fatal brain tumor. She then cheated her way to the finish line at near record time by riding the subway and telling riders that she had twisted her ankle and just wanted to see the end of the race. Ruiz vehemently denied the cheating allegations.
I do not believe that there is enough coverage for women in any of the races. I believe that maybe after this, whether you prove me guilty or not, which I am not, there will be more coverage of women crossing the finish line during 26 miles.
Number 6. Luis Suarez, the biter. Arguably one of the best footballers of his generation, Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez is widely known both for his talent and his string of controversial antics on the soccer pitch, particularly his numerous biting incidents. His habit of pulling a shark attack was first seen in 2010 when he bit into the shoulder of PSV Eindhoven's Otman Bakal.
Daar. Ja, hij bijt Bakal gewoon.
His penchant for fighting tooth and nail, pun intended, went on when in 2013 he bit Chelsea's Branislav Ivanovic during a Premier League match.
That is quite incredible and pretty disgusting.
And in 2014, during a World Cup match, Italian defender Giorgino Chiellini became Suarez's next target.
Here it is again.
down into the box. There's the first challenge. Oh dear.
Oh. Suarez, aka El Pistolero, earned a 7-game suspension and a 10-game suspension for the first 2 incidents, respectively, but was let off the hook for the third. Number 5. Serena Williams loses her cool. It's not unusual to see tennis legend Serena Williams lashing out at umpires after unwanted calls, but then meltdown during the US Open where she was stunned by rising star Naomi Osaka was by far the most severe in her greatest hits. The 23-time champion was heavily favored to win the Grand Slam in 2018, which would cement her name alongside tennis icon Margaret Court. Osaka was up 40-15 in the second game of the second set when chair umpire Carlos Ramos gave Williams' coach a code violation for giving instructions from the sidelines. Williams did not take kindly to the call. Feeling that she was being called a cheater, Williams launched into a tirade of insults hurled at Ramos, accusing him of sexism.
For you to attack my character is something that's wrong. It's wrong. You attacking my character. Yes, you are. You owe me an apology. You will never, ever, ever be on another court of mine as long as you live.
The umpire later slapped Williams with a second violation after she smashed her racket following a line call that she, again, did not like. That second violation led to a penalty and was followed by a third code violation and ultimately did not end in Williams' favor.
But let's give everyone the credit where credit's due, and let's not boo anymore. We're gonna get through this, and let's be positive. So, congratulations, Naomi.
Number 4. McSorley hits Brashear with stick. Hockey is known to be a highly physical sport. At some point in the game, players can expect to get hurt one way or another, especially when things get too intense. But attacking an opponent in the face from behind is a whole other level of aggression. In a 2000 NHL match versus the Vancouver Canucks, Marty McSorley of the Boston Bruins got into hot water when he blindsided Donald Brashear with a slash in the face.
I think Marty and all...
Brashear took a nasty fall, resulting in a severe concussion. As for McSorley, he was sentenced to 18 months probation and he was never to be seen on a rink ever again. Number 3. Philippines-Australia Brawl. 13 players were ejected and several game suspensions and fines were handed down when a massive fistfight broke out during the 2019 FIBA World Cup Asia qualifier match between the Philippines and Australia.
Thing came back the other way it's all happening now. Oh!
And this has got wild in the Philippines.
In what is touted as the biggest brawl in modern international basketball history, the infamous free-for-all scuffle sparked from a collision between Filipino guard Roger Pogoy and Aussie veteran Chris Goulding, which quickly escalated into a riot involving players from both teams and even coaches. But apparently, tensions were already rising between the rival teams even during the pre-game warm-ups, with a Filipino player attempting to trip an Australian player and the Aussie retaliating.
Apparently, some of our players crossed a bit over, and you will see here, there's Matty Wright getting pushed violently by a kicker from behind.
FIBA condemned the incident and handed 13 players multiple international game suspensions, and their associations were slapped with some hefty disciplinary fines. Number 2. Tyson versus Holyfield. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield's 1997 rematch achieved notoriety for the way it got halted. Nobody expected Holyfield to dominate Tyson in what was billed as the Sound and the Fury fight. After a brief retirement and some lackluster showings in several matches since his return to the ring, Holyfield was the obvious underdog, while Tyson was expected to dominate the match from the very first round. But Holyfield certainly showed up and clearly won the first 3 rounds. However, in a bizarre turn of events in the later rounds, Tyson pulled out his secret weapon, his pearly whites. Iron Mike started biting Holyfield's ear. And in the 11th round, the referee had to stop the fight after discovering that Holyfield lost a portion of his ear from a second bite attack from Tyson.
Mike was having his best round. He bit him again. He bit him again.
Because of this, Iron Mike lost his boxing license and was fined $3 million plus legal fees. But all's well that ends well when the rival pugilist made amends on the Oprah Winfrey Show 12 years after the so-called bite fight.
We watched each other grow to become established and esteemed fighters, you know what I mean? And I just want to know, it's just been a pleasure passing through life, being acquainted with you. Okay. You know?
Before we go to our #1 pick, do us a solid and make sure to smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to choose all so you won't miss out on any of our latest life-changing, boredom-busting content. And of course, be sure to turn on notifications in your app settings. #1, Pacers Pistons Punch-Up. Dubbed as the most infamous brawl in NBA history, the scuffle between the Pistons and the Pacers, more popularly known as the Malice at the Palace, made headlines in 2004. With only 45.9 seconds left on the shot clock and trailing behind the Pacers 97-92, Pistons center Ben Wallace attempted to cut the lead to 3 with a layup shot. But Pacers small forward Ron Artest didn't want to give Wallace the easy 2. He fouled Wallace hard from behind, provoking the Pistons center and sparking a skirmish among players from both teams.
Wallace is fouled, and Wallace did. Oh, Wallace! Right at our chest. This has potential to be serious if they don't get between.
The brawl was later broken up but was reignited when a spectator threw a drink at Artest, who immediately retaliated and charged at the fan. A massive rumble between players and fans broke out that lasted several minutes.
Pacer bench to go. Now Artest has jumped over the scorer's table and is trying to get down to the bench. Artest is in the stands.
The all-out battle royale resulted in the game being halted without playing the remaining time and with 5 players charged with assault and sentenced to a year of probation and community service. In total, 9 players were suspended and lost about $11 million in salary, while 5 fans were banned from Pistons games for life. So, which of these infamous sports moments shocked you the most? Let us know in the comment section below. Take home any of our exclusive gear by browsing our merch shelf or clicking the link in the video description. And while you're at it, take our quiz to find out how you can earn extra cash online doing what you do best. Awesome, right? Can't get enough of bizarre sports action? We got you covered. Don't miss our ranking of the 15 never-before-seen moments in sports. Till then, always play fair, mathematics, and see you in the next video!